Hello, welcome back to Molin Lave Wargaming. This is the setup for the December 22nd, 1941 turn. Where we left off, major event of last turn was a naval battle in the South China Sea between, I won't really call it Force Z anymore, maybe the ABDA Combined Task Force, made up of what was Force Z along with several Dutch and American ships. They confronted my heavy covering force just off Singkawang. In that engagement, we lost a battleship. The enemy lost 2 of their cruisers. But I think more important than the loss of the cruisers is that the task force as a whole took enough damage that I don't think that they're going to be able to do any more quick strikes in the area the way they've been doing. So quite a price to pay on our end. May be worth it depending on what happens in the coming turns. Also, of course, Hong Kong fell. So with that in mind, let's get right into it, starting in China. I do want to more or less immediately move the 38th Division out of here and into the Philippines. However, there's a ton of minefields there, so our first priority is going to be to clear those out. So I want to say 5 minesweepers headed to Hong Kong right now to deal with that. We'll have amphibious groups follow that up, and they'll be able to transport the infantry division from Hong Kong to Luzon. Meanwhile, we're going to just use the remaining forces in this area to mop up these enemy units that are hanging out around Canton. And I think we also need to be prepared for a possible counterattack. We've got lots of rail lines coming down from areas near Chungking. There could be forces coming down this road. Lots of potential forces gathering up here to make a counterattack. So I don't want to move too much out of this area. But that division itself is an unrestricted unit, and it's needed elsewhere for the moment. Over here, we're going to be mopping up this unit on the major road first before we proceed to Wenchao. Elsewhere, pretty much everywhere else, we see that we're in contact with enemy forces here in China. We'll be making attacks. I decided not to advance up here in the north, and the reason is this unit's indicated strength is way stronger than what the combat report indicated. So this isn't the guy we just fought. I'm not sure what's going on there, but the unit we just fought didn't have 22 guns, that's for sure. So this is somebody else, and I'm not going to be in a hurry to engage him. We're going to take care of these guys first, since that's where our tanks are, and then we can reassess what's going on up here. That'll do it for China. So, in the aftermath of this naval battle, in all likelihood, the enemy needs to retreat because they're extremely low on ammunition. I can't assume that, though, so this amphibious group, even though they're not quite done unloading their forces yet, has been ordered to stop, and they're going to pull back to the east to try to avoid the enemy fleets. They still have a cover force, but it's just light cruisers. So we're not going to make a dent in the Prince of Wales or Repulse if they stick around. Meanwhile, mine layers are going to go ahead and put a little minefield right here in the corner. So if the enemy retreats, we should be able to avoid them, lay the minefield, and then next time enemy forces come back, we've got a chance of getting some hits. Meanwhile, recon shows that enemy fighter forces have significantly increased at Singapore again, so the AVG is back, basically. You know, we're having trouble getting our airstrikes to launch when we need them. We're just going to keep trying. So yeah, we're going to sweep and strike, basically, rinse and repeat for now. And I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this. I really, especially with Force Z or the ABDA Combined Fleet, whatever we want to call it, more or less temporarily neutralized, it might be a really good time to go into Mersing. just something for me to keep an eye on. But for now, too many bombers in Singapore. We haven't really accumulated any damage to this airbase. It's hard to accumulate damage if you're giving them days off to repair, you know, because the airstrikes aren't going anywhere. Meanwhile, I've moved some Nels over to Kuching. The base is still too small that I don't believe they can carry torpedoes. However, this gives me pretty much total surveillance over the Java Sea at this point, which has value in itself, especially because Carrier Division 2 is going to start working its way down here soon. Turning to Luzon, I've started moving fighters out of Vigan and into San Fernando. That's to avoid overcrowding here at Vigan. One of the Lily bomber squadrons that was working Hong Kong has been transferred down here, and that's just to really keep as much firepower on these guys at Cabanatuan as we can. They're inflicting fairly heavy casualties on our land forces here. I guess it's good that we're not retreating, because we'd get even higher casualties probably if there was a rout. Meanwhile, this we expect is a very weak unit. I think I'm, 80% sure that this is like a Philippine constabulary army. So they're facing a tank regiment. So they're gonna hopefully be forced back. We have another tank regiment advancing up this road to take on the enemy tank regiment that's here at Bayombang. And meanwhile, we have another tank regiment advancing out of Lingayen that's going to arrive at Cabanatuan this turn, and then the 65th Brigade is going to follow that up. This turn I've also ordered most of the artillery in this space to move over here too, and that's just because the open territory in this space means that the enemy's going to take much higher casualties from artillery or other high firepower type weapons, so I want to maximize that. Meanwhile, I'm annoyed that there are still ships here, and my solution to dealing with this now is going to be to take these transports that I just moved in here and these paratroopers from the Yokosuka 1st SNLF, and I'm just going to drop them there. So there don't appear to be any enemy soldiers here, so our soldiers are just going to walk right on to whatever ships are left in that port and scuttle them in port. I hope. That's the idea. These guys need to rearm. This task force is going to be the next to take a run at Batangas. The enemy does seem to be running out of ships in these hexes. So, yeah. And then once we deal with these guys, we can refocus on Manila and Clark again. But because of the amount of casualties we're taking here, this needs to be the immediate priority. Moving further down, we've still got a while to go before any of these guys reach Cagayan, but they're moving, and we have enough to manage the garrison, so no more embarrassing victory point losses there. We ran out of ops points at Babel Doab to refuel everybody. Carrier Division 2 is nearly refueled and fully replenished as to sorties and that sort of thing. So they're headed out. I unfortunately was not able to increase the number of fighters in the air wings. Those are apparently at a hard limit. For the mini KB, I was able to increase the capacity to increase the number of fighters aboard up to the capacity of the task force, at least formally. So this Claude Squadron is now allowed to have up to 30 aircraft. So 30 and 18 will maximize the carrier at 48 aircraft. However, due to supply issues at Babel Doab, I'm not able to increase the actual number of planes on board to 30 just yet. However, supply, airfield size, whatever, did not stop me from upgrading this Kate N1 unit to a Kate N2 unit. So that's happened. The mini KB is going to stick around another turn to make sure they're closer to being topped off. before they move out. Meanwhile, we have this regiment reloading onto amphibious ships. This task force wasn't quite big enough for the job, so there's some more coming over to merge with them, but then we're going to rendezvous with these guys outside Ternate, and then these task forces combined with their covering force, plus Carrier Division 2 and possibly the baby KB, depending on the timing, will push on to Ambon. And then, of course, Carrier Division 2 is planning on pushing onwards to Darwin, possibly with the mini KB as well. Over at Wake, we've started loading these guys up. Second SNLF is going to stick around for a while, just in case the Allies think they can just walk right back in and take it. We don't want that. At the moment, we don't really have any base forces, aviation support, or, you know, scout or patrol planes or whatever to send to Wake. So that's a future necessity. It'll be nice to keep an eye on Midway and stuff like that, but for now, it's not happening. But then this amphibious task force that's loading back up is headed to Guam, of course. Marshall's is quiet. Hopefully we can pick up those enemy ships that kind of disappeared on us. Rabaul is about to have another task force arrive. They're 9 hexes from their destination. They can move 6, so they're not going to arrive today. They'll arrive tomorrow. But I think when they arrive, that's going to put us over the top. In the meantime, our bombers are going to continue to harass the enemy troops to keep them off balance. Carrier Division 1 is going to get refueled today. To facilitate that happening, I'm not moving them very far. I'm actually going to back them up a little bit, because with enemy task forces sighted here, plus at least a cruiser in port at Cairns, this is the worthy target to keep going after for now. I don't know where the replenishment group ended up. Clearly keeping an eye on the Torres Strait over here with some assets. I don't know. Still on the hunt for him. Down here, I'd really like to get the Queen Elizabeth. However, the distance between these two task forces right now is already too much. And if I keep pursuing, it's only going to get worse. When I split these into 2 divisions, it was my intention that they would provide mutual support to each other, and at the moment that's not happening. So Carrier Division 3 is actually going to back off a little bit, and I did split off a single heavy cruiser to try to rush ahead of the Queen Elizabeth and ambush her. We're a little bit faster, so we'll see how that goes. But what I don't want to happen is to get these 2 carriers in a fight with maybe 3 enemy carriers, Lexington Enterprise and Saratoga, possibly. So yeah, we're backing off a little bit. I think continuing on to Sydney is kind of the obvious move, and I don't want to be quite that predictable. That said, I'm totally going to be bombing Sydney. It's just probably going to be in another day or 2. And in the future, I think these carriers are kind of going to end up taking a tour of these shipping lanes and just kind of seeing what we can get. And yeah, I think that's going to do it. I'm in the habit of saying that and then finding out something else I want to talk about. And I don't think that's going to happen this turn. Yep, so that's the setup, and we'll see you for the replay. Thanks for watching. Alright, welcome back. Combat replay for December 22nd is now underway. And it looks like we've already got some... Whew, and we're surprised too. So Prince of Wales and some of its supporting task force is not retreated. And they're engaging on the covering force here. Some good news in this, even though I'm kind of reluctant to have an engagement here because, well, 1, we lost one of our battleships last turn, and 2, we burned through most of our ammunition. But at least in this instance, it's really just the Prince of Wales in this enemy task force that can get through the armor on our ships, except for the destroyers, of course. Speaking of the Prince of Wales, we just got a shot through their superstructure, so hopefully some significant system damage there. So our heavy cruiser shrugs a hit off with its belt armor, 2 in a row, actually. It's very close range. Might be an opportunity for a torpedo hit if we've got any left. Congo's to a superstructure hit. Oof. Plus a 14-inch shell hit to the waterline. So, Prince of Wales is making good with the ammo it has left aboard. Starting to open range now. Taking some armor hits on the way out. Just got a primary battery hit on the Mauritius. Primary battery from the heavy cruiser. And another one, this time on the Boise. That was a waterline hit, 20 centimeter. Get a decent hit on the Vampire. Alright, good hit on Mauritius. Yeah, we just took one. Just a destroyer. And that's gonna do it. I'd say it's probably just the Mauritius that took significant damage in this fight. Well, I mean, the Congo did take 14-inch shell hits. It's a big ship, though. Anyways, hopefully we can just get back to base and rearm. So many task forces over there off Kuching. Alright, so now we've got some oilers and I think a troop transport trying to escape from Manila. They've run into a surface combat force that's guarding that exit. We're already getting torpedo hits on these guys. They're looking pretty helpless. Ships can't really even put out much return fire. Two very large torpedo impacts on the is that? Picus? So both oilers go down, and then transport immediately gets hit by torpedoes and takes her out. So that's going to be the end of that. Damn it. Alright, we got a Dutch sub hanging out off Catawba. Since we're not seeing any casualties reported, I'm going to guess this cargo ship was one that dropped troops off at Catawba and was leaving. So, I don't like to lose ships, but I like losing ships loaded with troops even less. So, call this a good thing. Ooh. Is this 4C again? Looks like it's got more ships. No, that's the repulse. Okay, so they've apparently split off their combined task force into two. Interesting. Not sure why they're doing that. I guess I am going to be concerned here that these guys could be pushing forwards, trying to get to my amphibious ships again. Jinsu's taking a bit of a beating here. Ouch. Java's apparently got some decent-sized guns. Hits from repulse looked like they were secondary battery hits, so Java did a lot more damage. And we're out. So Jinsu took a beating. Might possibly lose that ship. We really didn't do anything significant to the enemy. So we should be getting pretty close to sunrise, and we have a whole lot of enemy ship contacts here in the South China Sea and around Singapore. Today would be a really good day to get those airstrikes that I've been waiting for seemingly forever. The planes are there, they have the orders, they have escorts assigned. Let's do this. Would be nice if we could get after these guys when we catch them in shallow water like this. Right. Unidentified enemy ship sinking. Maybe somebody damaged yesterday in that naval battle. They had a lot of badly damaged heavy cruisers. Alright, Allied CV just spotted in the Torres Strait. That is significant. That basically means that enemy task force is kind of sandwiched between Carrier Division 1 and Division 2 right now, with Carrier Division 3 able to come back up and provide relief, or not really relief, but combine forces. And we've got a sweep in Singapore now. Oscars versus Buffaloes, Mohawks, and P40s. This is a Buffalo straight away. Let's get those P-40s, guys. Thank you. Numbers are already even. That's alright. This variant of the P-40 has a bad service rating, so the more of them we get into the fights, even if we're not necessarily hitting them, they're going to need to spend a lot of time down for maintenance. Oscars, on the other hand, have a very good service rating, so we will keep these planes in the fight. I was hoping we'd get a splash since we got behind one there. Getting a lot of engagements from behind on them. There we go. Still got reinforcements arriving. Alright, not so bad. I only counted 2 aircraft shot down for us, 3 for them. I'd like to get a lot more shoot downs with that from a sweep, but when you're using a plane that only has 150 cal and 130 cal, you don't always get what you want in terms of kills. But we do have a whole bunch of Sallies slated to bomb the airbase, so maybe planes under repair and in maintenance will get slaughtered on the ground. And this is a port attack on Manila. Didn't accomplish that much. We're present to witness a cargo ship sinking that was damaged on a previous turn, and we badly damaged a light cargo ship, but not really any significant damage being done here. Alright, that's much better. Got a hit on the destroyer, and I believe that was an 800 kilogram bomb, so that probably destroyed that destroyer. We're also seeing troop casualties reported, although probably not enough to indicate that that destroyer was where the troops are. Although, on the other hand, we didn't record any port hits, so I guess it has to be the destroyer, doesn't it? Yeah, so I guess the Pillsbury was loaded with troops. Alright, sweep at Singapore again. This time we're using zeros. Get a P-40 right off. Buffalo. Ha-ha. I don't know, maybe I need to sweep with zeros more and let the Oscars take over once the heavy lifting's done. Keep sending them, we'll wait. Send us some more AVG, please. Alright, so that was 1-0 lost for 3 Buffaloes and 2 AVG P-40s. Alright, attacking enemy troops at the base they recently pushed us out. It's Tugagara? Cabantuan, my bad. Yeah, that's a pretty good result. You know, we always like to destroy lots of squads, but these disabled squads will not be attacking our troops this turn. So, with 22 combat squads out of the picture, it's a much better picture for our forces on the ground. So here's our sallies coming in on Singapore. We've cleared most of the way for them. Alright, this looks like a pretty successful airstrike, doesn't it? Getting lots of aircraft damage reported. Runway hits, some aircraft destroyed. Not bad at all. And that was just 16 planes. We should have more coming. Yeah. That's what I like to see. Hopefully we get more of the same here at Manila. Not bad, I guess. Definitely did better in Singapore. Of course, Singapore's a lot more crowded. Right, so this, let's see who this is. Philippine Army Infantry Battalion. It suffers 4 disabled combat squads. Just disabling more units up at the front lines. On this enemy army unit, and they are burning. 181 more casualties, including 12 more combat squads disabled or destroyed. Another sweep at Singapore. Essentially no joy. Surprising considering they apparently had 8 aircraft that tried to respond. It's a shame we didn't stick around and wait for him. Alright, let's hit those enemy ships in the South China Sea. What's going on with those? Ooh, over here. We have an enemy carrier trying to attack us. So what he's apparently doing is shuttling his carrier fighters to land bases, attacking us from land. It doesn't look like our cap is all that strong right now. So there's actually a danger these dive bombers could get through unless we get a lot of fighters up in a hurry. Good news is it's just 12 dive bombers. Alright, our cap's starting to get up. That's a lot of fighters. Still 36 enemy fighters on this tank. got to the bombers. Ugh. Alright, 11 bombers get through. Take a shot at the Akagi and miss. Alright, so I'm surprised we only managed to put up 18 zeros. Does that mean we have strikes out right now? Maybe it does, maybe it does. Heck, there's an enemy task force detected at Cairns. Maybe they're not flying these fighters from land bases. Chase off the SB-3s attacking Canton. Detached heavy cruiser getting attached by Hudson's. B-17s heading to Cairns. It's a shame we didn't disable these guys when we bombed Manila. Looks like some of these guys are based in Manila and others Clark. Doesn't look like they did any damage. Meanwhile, they're taking some damage from our weak little fighters along the flat. Split between airfield and the port and did nothing. Alright, attack on their ships. Well, apparently this task force we spotted at Cairns is not an enemy carrier battle. Come on. Just can't. I was about to say we can't hit anything with torpedoes. Finally connected there. So, lots of troop transports on this convoy. With any luck, hopefully that means they're loaded up. And we're about to do some serious serious damage to enemy troop levels. Yes. Allied casualties reported. Apparently transporting tanks. Maybe some other fun things. And of course it's the ship that was hit with torpedoes that sank. Yeah, I want to keep hitting these guys then. Sounds like they're losing more ships from that airstrike. And of course, we don't have any Bettys or Nels flying in the South China Sea. Maybe we'll get one in the afternoon. Oh. What do you know? We even got some escorts from mates in the area. Of course, they're assigned zeros. Oh, actually, no. These guys are flying out of Kuching, so they don't have zeros assigned to them. It also means they probably aren't carrying torpedoes because the base isn't built up enough for that to happen. Oh, look at me, being wrong. Oh, I'm happy to be wrong. Get a single torpedo hit on repulse for heavy damage. Probably because it was already damaged previously. Yes. Okay, so at least we're not going to have to worry about that ship for a little while now. There's no way it's going to intentionally go into combat with heavy damage. Singapore getting hit again. This is Sally raid. Looks like the cap is mostly reconstituted. Yeah, they've actually outnumbered our fighters here. So we may end up losing some bombers to the ABG here. Oscars aren't doing so great so far. Damn it. Yeah, this is gonna hurt. So, 3 Oscars lost, no enemy fighters shot down. Now they get to have their way with my sallies. Oh, these guys are really efficient. And here I thought hitting the base with sallies was going to really help wear their air power down. At least for as far as the afternoon goes, we definitely got the worst of that exchange. No Allied losses. That's just awful. 3 Oscars lost and 12 sallies. Ooh, this could be interesting. I wonder if this is a port strike or a naval strike. DC task forces reported at Singapore, so hopefully these guys are actually going after ships that retreated to Singapore rather than just bombing the port. And the port itself, good chance it's mostly empty. Shooting anyone down yet, but we are damaging many of them. Alright, bombers get through unmolested. It is a port strike. Got minor hits on the Marblehead, so that was a big bottle and nothing. Alright, round 2. Oh, wow. They just get right through. It's like a crap didn't even matter. Yeah, fortunately, enemy bomber accuracy at this point of the war is not that great. Also a lot of cap in this task force. Yeah, so sadly this cruiser we sent out appears to have not found the Queen Elizabeth. Ooh, somebody's mad they didn't get Singkawang. Doing an airfield strike on an airfield that's not in operation. Attacked by Weiraways. I think these guys carry rather small bombs, so even if they do manage to get some hits here, I don't think it's going to do much. Ooh, this should be fun. Goodbye, enemy torpedo bombers. Oh, we let one through. Damn. 6 bombers attack, 1 goes home. Second strike on this task force at Cairns. There we go. Yes, Kates, do your job. This is going to be a much more successful attack. Of course, we're not going to have a lot more torpedoes to use on the Lexington interface if we manage to catch up with them. So I'm probably going to end up doing is combining Carrier Divisions 1 and 3, and I'm going to leave the Kates from Division 1 mostly in charge of scouting, since they're not going to have very many torpedoes left. Sunk, 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 sunk. All of them. And only 7 vehicles lost, so they managed to unload quite a bit. Well, I guess I sort of got the airstrike I wanted. Sort of. Some troops from Puerto Princesa and Jesselton. Deliberate attack outside of Shenyang. We look significantly stronger than the enemy force here, but the enemy force has more troops than it did originally. Alright, we got him. Yeah, interesting that the AV numbers were pretty close to start off with. We ended up at 3-to-1 odds after that. And it's because of an incorrect op mode for the enemy. So what happened is they were rushing other troops in here in move mode, and they arrived basically just in time to be attacked. So bit of a mistake on my opponent's part here, and it costs him in terms of casualties. The weakened core. This one's really close to being able to get back to its side. And he'll be able to get to his side, just about 1,000 troops weaker. This is a badly broken core in the Riverlands. Never get him to spread, but he always retreat. Another badly damaged core. Retreats. Slightly weakened core. 1-to-1 assault odds on this. So we heard him. Disproportionate casualties. Not a defeat. Right, the enemy infantry battalion here is basically a nothing force, as it turns out. So they retreat. Broken unit. Central Malayan Peninsula. We finish them off. So that should clear the rail line over to, I'm not sure what the space is, probably Temelo. So that's good news. And perhaps that's going to be my sign that the Mersing Gambit ends here. Since the rail line's open from Kota Baru to there, there might not be much of a point trying to get to Mersing anymore. Ooh. Allied shock attack against Tabuan. A little bit worried about this because of how much the balance of force is tilted, but as you'll remember, we bombed the hell out of these troops today, and you can see their numbers are pretty awful. It's really only this constabulary regiment that has any attack value at all. Meanwhile, we've been reinforced with the 7th Tank Regiment. So, this looks like it's going to be a significant attack, or a failure on the enemy with just 1 to 4 odds. And you can see they've got a disruption malice from all those airstrikes. Yeah, so not that awful. Could have been a lot worse with a failed attack, but casualties favoring us pretty significantly. Alright, so another bombardment attack in Rabaul. We've been taking significant casualties in these, and unfortunately we have not reversed that trend yet, even as our troops here presumably start re-enabling disabled units. Yeah, I just need to send more troops here so I can attack. I don't think there's any other way around it. Paratroopers to Tete. Anything about any enemy ships here? No. But I don't know. Might be worth checking the destroyed ship list to see if maybe something was destroyed by this base falling. Or maybe it's already been completely evacuated, who knows. Alright, let's hit the post-turn analysis. Starting with our victory point situation, as you can see, we had a fairly significant point game this turn. Not as big as the last one, just didn't have anything huge like Hong Kong falling, but we took out a bunch of ships and did okay in the air. So speaking of which, we'll go to ships next. Alright, so we only lost one ship this turn, and that was to the Dutch submarine off Catawba. So in terms of naval losses, we didn't do so bad at all. Did have enemy task forces trying to engage us off Singkawang. They weren't able to prosecute successfully. On the other hand, for us, we've got a whole lot of ships reported sunk. So I'm not even sure where Lubang is. Reported sunk by a submarine. That's the way I read that. Obviously, we've got the enemy task force sunk off Cairns. Okay, Lubang is that's going to be right off Manila. So these two oilers and this transport were the ships sunk by our surface action force outside Manila. We're also getting credit for the repulse in Mauritius. I'd be highly skeptical of both of those. We gave them significant damage. I can say that much. But sink them? Probably not. I'm going to say probably not on that. Losses for us, pretty significant. We lost a total of 27 aircraft today, and a lot of that was concentrated on the Sally force, losing 12 in the air out of 18 total air-to-air shoot-downs. We also got significant operational losses today. Those operational losses do appear to be relatively routine, as we're seeing them basically in the kinds of aircraft that were fairly busy today, such as Oscars, Nels, along with some carrier aircraft. It's not too concerned about the operational numbers. We lost 2 to flak, which is interesting, a Babs and a Nell. So that probably means the repulse managed to shoot down a Nell, would be my guess. And recon aircraft just get picked off every once in a while. On the Allies side, they did lose more aircraft than we did, 39 total, of which 26 were air-to-air losses. Also significant are 3 ground losses, including a B-17, and then also a Blenheim and a Swordfish. Always nice to pick planes off on the ground, since that's the last place the enemy is going to want them to be destroyed, since they're not doing anyone any good there. Looking specifically at air-to-air losses, so the F-2A3 version of the Buffalo is the U.S. Navy's Buffalo. So significant losses to the enemy for those. I'm not sure how they ended up with a Buffalo shot down by flak. That's kind of interesting. Then the British lost 6 of their own, and the AVG took 7 casualties total, split between air and operational losses. And of course, I at least love to see this. 6 Swordfish torpedo bombers lost total today, including 5 out of 6 in an air-to-air raid. Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get too many Wildcats or Dauntlesses in the air raids today. It is what it is. Considering we lost 27 aircraft, it isn't that bad that we only lost 9 pilots killed in action. And well, you know what? I was really thinking about the killed number. But the total of 19 killed and missing, that's actually pretty damn bad, no matter how you look at it. So yeah, because most of the pilots that we lost were involved in raids over Singapore, well away from our own front lines, didn't get most of those pilots back. Now, looking around the map, we're noticing some significant naval activity over here. They should be in range of our friends over here in Takao. Oh, I see why we didn't get an attack. I recently upgraded these guys to Bettys, and the new aircraft are just coming online. But they can carry torpedoes 17 hexes, And these guys are only 14 away. So we should be able to get them pretty soon. And, you know, I can always send surface ships over there, if I have any available, that is. I do not see any ships in Hong Kong. Oh, you know what? When I saw all those task forces in Hong Kong, those were the enemy ships leaving. I sort of assumed they'd be my minesweepers, and since I recently completed a campaign as the Allies, I'm so used to seeing my ships in green, it didn't occur to me. So yeah, my minesweepers are still on their way to Hong Kong. Got a little bit of contact up here. Hopefully that's not a strong unit. Back there it shouldn't be. Yeah, so it looks we're probably going to have a pretty quiet turn in China coming up. Not too much to say there. Rangoon's still quiet. We've caught these enemy units, so that's some good news. You know, be able to get on them and maybe even hold some guys in reserve. Get a quick attack next turn as well. Should be able to defeat the enemy at Temalo pretty soon. 25 ships reported at Singapore. The sooner we manage to get through here, the better. So this is interesting. 0 fighters reported at Singapore, but 30 bombers. I mean, it's not like these surrounding bases have that much air capacity. Size 1, size 1, size 0. Size 0, size 4 at Johore, but I've got recon with a detection level of 9/10, and there's no aircraft detected here. So I don't know what's going on with that. I did notice that with the airstrike results today, all the aircraft destroyed on the ground at Singapore were bombers. So I'm not sure where these fighters are flying out of. I mean, could they be flying out of Palembang? I mean, that's pretty far for a long-range cap. Anyways, so an ASW group. Oh no, that's 9 ships. That's bigger than an ASW group, so that might be somebody significant. Unknown. Another unknown. So one of the surface task forces escaping west. And, you know, once again, we don't have really positive confirmation on anybody. That could be the Prince of Wales or the Repulse. Although with this base operating Nels, even though they the base looks like it's too small to support these guys with torpedoes, but we managed to have one of these squadrons launch a torpedo strike. So you know what? Let's do more of that. We've got room. And I guess this is more setup talk than post-turn analysis, so I guess I should watch that. I mean, that's very much on my mind right now. Yeah, it looks like Taytay was already abandoned. We still have 2 ships in port at Batangas. Still ships in port at Manila. Pretty quiet in the Dutch East Indies. The enemy submarines are moving. Pulling out, maybe? So we had a report of CVs over here. If they don't show up on the map, does that mean it's a false report? Let's see if that shows up in the ops report. Alright, so I managed to find the sighting report in the combat events file, and it was in Horn Islands hex, right here at 91-128. The fact that nothing got displayed on the map kind of suggests to me that it might be a false sighting. I I think I'm still going to proceed as if it's real. I mean, clearly the enemy carriers haven't gone that far since they're dropping off aircraft to attack me at probably at Cairns. And wow, they do not have a whole lot of space for these aircraft here. So that's interesting. Also got 11 ships reported in port, reportedly including battleships. I'm going to say that that's unlikely to be true. Regardless, clearly seeing some inviting targets here at Cairns, so I'm probably going to stick around to deal with that. Yeah, the Queen Elizabeth got away. I'm just going to have to accept that. So yeah, Carrier Division 3 is low on fuel, but good on ammunition. Yeah, really good on ammunition. Wow, like they didn't even use torpedoes at Pearl Harbor, apparently. So we're going to recombine these task forces, continue to hit Cairns, and who knows, if that contact up here is real, we've got a great opportunity coming up. Solomon's area looks quiet. We have one detected submarine, looks like around Pearl Harbor, so our nice and tight net seems to be doing just fine, even if we're not spotting anything. Alright, so I think I'm going to end it there. We'll see for the setup for the December 23rd turn.